Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever hit 5 p.m. feeling just absolutely drained, completely wiped out, yet you look back and can't point to a single meaningful thing you actually got done, I need you to know something right now. You are not lacking discipline. What you're experiencing is a very real, very modern biological crisis. Today we're diving straight into the intersection of modern neuroscience and cognitive optimization. We're going to look at how to genuinely heal your nervous system, regulate your dopamine, and finally reclaim your mind.
To really grasp the scale of this, we have to look at some startling research from Dr. Gloria Mark at UC Irvine. According to her data, the average knowledge worker's screen attention span has plummeted to 47 seconds. Less than one single minute before we involuntarily switch tabs, check a ping, or just totally abandon our train of thought. We're essentially living in this chronic state of partial attention, and guys, it is actively deteriorating our cognitive health.
So that brings up a really huge question. Why does a day of just answering emails and jumping between Slack channels, a day where technically you did nothing of deep substance, leave you with such profound brain fog? Well, it's because your brain isn't just tired, it's inflamed. This exhaustion is your biology responding to a totally fragmented environment. Every single time you switch contexts, your brain is dumping stress hormones right into your system. You're basically trying to survive on a continuous, low-grade cortisol drip.
And that right there perfectly highlights the paradigm shift we desperately need to make. We absolutely have to move away from what's called shallow work. You know, that cortisol spiking, frantic hustle of multitasking that literally leads straight to burnout. The antidote to this is deep work, a brilliant term coined by Cal Newport. It is the practice of intense, distraction-free concentration. And here's the best part. It's not just some productivity hack. It's an actual nervous system regulating practice that restores your dopamine balance and physically promotes neuroplasticity. Now, what's really fascinating here is this hidden cognitive tax called attention residue. This is a concept from researcher Sophie Leroy. Think about it like this. When you switch from writing a complex report to just quickly checking an email, your attention doesn't actually follow you completely. A portion of your working memory gets left behind, stuck on that unfinished task. So you end up carrying this invisible cognitive lint around with you all day, which severely limits your executive function and creates that heavy, lingering feeling of deep overwhelm.
And what makes this residue even worse? Well, there are a few primary amplifiers. First, when a task is left unfinished, it triggers something called the Zeigarnik effect. Basically, it creates an open loop in your brain that just bleeds energy. Add in some time pressure, an emotionally charged message from your boss, or just the involuntary ping of a smartphone notification, and your working memory is essentially hijacked. Your poor brain is trying to process the past, survive the present, and anticipate the future, all at the exact same time.
And the recovery time from this? It's genuinely alarming. Research shows that after just one single interruption, it takes the average human brain 23 minutes and 15 seconds to fully return to its original state of cognitive depth. Think about that. If you're checking your messages every 10 minutes, you are quite literally never experiencing a state of deep, restorative focus. Your brain is just endlessly trying to catch up to itself. No wonder you feel totally spent by 5 p.m.
Section 1, the neuroscience of focus and rewiring the brain. Let's dive right into the biology of it.
Okay, so this brings us to a really incredible biological mechanism called myelin. Deep inside your brain's white matter, when you focus intensely on one hard task, specialized cells actually start wrapping a fatty sheath right around your neural pathways. This acts as electrical insulation, and it speeds up your brain's signals by up to 200 times. It is literally a biological upgrade to your brain's architecture that actively heals cognitive fatigue. But to trigger this awe-inspiring neuroplasticity, you have to follow a strict biological rule. As Cal Newport points out, you must force a specific neural circuit to fire again and again in complete isolation. Deep, distraction-free work is the absolute, non-negotiable biological requirement for this. There's just no way around it. You literally cannot life hack your way around human biology. On the flip side, multitasking actively sabotages this entire process. If you're trying to learn something complex while keeping your chat apps open, your neural circuits are firing completely haphazardly. Your brain has no idea which circuit to insulate, so the myelination process just halts. By giving in to constant distraction, you are actively preventing your own brain from healing itself.
Section 2, deep work and flow. Let's look at this wellness paradigm shift.
So deep work is actually your gateway into the flow state,
a brilliant concept pioneered by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Flow is that magical, almost out-of-body feeling of complete absorption. The rest of the world just fades away, time distorts, and you feel this incredibly energized focus. And flow isn't just about being hyperproductive. It is a highly therapeutic state. It deeply regulates our nervous system and actually floods the brain with a healthy, perfectly balanced dose of dopamine. And this creates such a profoundly human and emotional connection to our efforts. Csikszentmihalyi tells us that our absolute best moments usually happen when we voluntarily stretch our minds to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. Think about how that totally reframes hard, focused work. It's not a punishment, it's an intrinsically rewarding experience that literally brings us to life. It is the exact opposite of that passive, scrolling-induced apathy we get from the digital world. This powerful connection between focus, depth, and true happiness actually leads us straight to the ancient Greek concept of eudaimonia, which is the state of achieving your full human potential. Living a deep life where you're regularly engaging your mind in meaningful, uninterrupted challenges that builds profound emotional resilience. When you finally strip away all the shallow digital distractions, what you're left with is a fundamentally good, deeply meaningful life. Moving into Section 3, Designing a Deep Life and Healing the Nervous System. Let's make this highly practical. First things first, we absolutely have to reject toxic hustle culture. That endless grind of shallow tasks is just a fast track to burnout. Instead, we need to embrace what Dr. Gloria Mark calls kinetic attention. Look, our brains are not machines. They have real, hardwired biological limits. Kinetic attention is all about honoring those limits by intentionally cycling between intense, deep focus blocks and low-stress restorative breaks. It is the natural rhythmic pulse of true cognitive longevity. Now, one of the absolutely most powerful ways to protect that longevity is by closing open cognitive loops at the end of your day. Enter Cal Newport's shutdown ritual. By taking a few minutes to review your tasks, formulate a solid plan for tomorrow, and explicitly declaring your shutdown complete, you are signaling to your brain that it is finally safe to disengage. This vital, non-negotiable habit stops the Zeigarnik effect right in its tracks, drops your evening cortisol levels, and lets your nervous system actually recover while you sleep. So, what does a biologically respectful day actually look like in practice? Well, notice the beautiful balance here. You might kick things off with a 90-minute block of high-challenge deep work, really triggering that myelination we talked about. Then, and this is crucial, you take a true kinetic break. Step away from the screen entirely, go outside. Then, you batch your shallow work into one contained block so it doesn't bleed into your entire day. You follow that up with another deep block, and finally, you hit that shutdown ritual. This, right here, is a sustainable architecture for your mind. But to maintain this kind of day, you need some solid strategies for cognitive defense. First, batch similar types of work together to cut down on that context switching. Second, right before stepping away from a deep work block, jot down a quick ready-to-resume note so your brain can seamlessly pick up where it left off later. Next, and this is a massive one, start embracing small moments of boredom instead of reflexively grabbing for your phone. This actually recalibrates your baseline dopamine. And finally, take a craftsman approach to your digital tools. Only let an app into your life if its positive impact massively outweighs the distraction it brings.
Ultimately, reclaiming your cognitive health comes down to a single choice. The modern world is quite literally engineered to fracture your attention, harvest your focus, and leave you feeling totally exhausted. But as we've just seen, you have the biological capacity to rewire your own brain for depth, for flow, and for incredible emotional resilience. The science is crystal clear here. So, the final question is, will you continue to let this digital environment dictate your attention, or will you fiercely protect the depth required to live a truly resilient, fulfilled life? The choice is entirely yours.